Welcome to your Wednesday ep of Footy Talk. Gorden Tallis, Elliot Lovejoy, some very strange moves at Manly we'll get to shortly, Gordy. But last night, honestly, a marathon judiciary hearing with Reece, Walsh. I think it was over 4.5 hours. They were all in there. Some of the live tweeting was outstanding. Shout out to Judiciary app, so I think had 7 Big Macs after she was done there. She was there the entire night. But at the end of it, Reece is going to miss Origin 2. He's missing 3 games total, including club footy too. The big question is now who comes in for him in State of Origin?
Billy Slater, captain coach.
Right. Mate, he probably still could, let's be honest.
You'd have to say AJ Brimson. There's talk of moving Hemiso Tabuai-Fidow, but I think he's done an amazing job in the centres. I think he's just been outstanding there, and we're going to weaken a spot. There's talk of Carl and Ponga getting a phone call back, but he has already said he wanted to, step down from this Origin series and concentrate on Newcastle. And with his coach under the pump and his press conference through the week, I think that's probably more likely to happen. And AJ Brimson was 18th man in the second game. So to me, it's logic. But Billy Slater, as we've watched with game 1 and 2, is his own man. He'd have a plan, and whoever fits that plan will get the nod. But I would be leaning towards AJ.
AJ's been there before. I suppose that the only concern with AJ is he's had a wretched run with his hamstrings. He's put together a good month of footy. Yeah. From Titans HQ, is he pretty much back to where he wants to be physically?
I think he is, yeah. I mean, I think once you get a month under your belt, you get your conditioning back and all the niggles are sort of gone. I think, look, there's no doubt everybody playing in the NRL, if you've played 4 or 5 games, you're playing with a niggle every week. Yep. So you're never going to be fully 100%, but I think he must be close back to it.
Well, I mean, you look at Kieran Foran, who's playing with 17 injuries on one leg at any time. Yes. So, all right. So straight swap for him in there. Flegler is the other one. It looks like he'll be out of Origin 3 for Queensland with the injury. Yeah. The big freckle, does he get his go? Corey Horsburgh.
He could. Yeah. What a perfect way to make your debut. There's no such thing, like I said dead rubber years ago, 20 years ago, but now I realise an Origin match is an Origin match. It's so important to both states. So they can, I think they can blood him. I think that, that he can get a chance there, or, there might be someone that's been overlooked. But, there's no doubt that he would certainly come into contention, and he's been around the squad. So that's another AJ Brimson and a Billy. But I'd have no problem throwing him in, to game 3 when, the series is already wrapped up, and see how he goes.
Just back to Reece Walsh quickly. A lot of people are pretty quick to condemn him online, and he's been found guilty of what he said.
I don't think he was, right?
Okay, but he's been found guilty. So,
yes.
Well,
it was 4 hours, right?
Apology. So, 4.5,
okay, right. See, so then let's look into that, right? So if he was guilty and a ref said, yes, he directed it at me, that takes 30 seconds. If the referee goes, he called me that. Yeah. Like Bill Harrigan, Gorden Tallis called me that. He's straight off. To sit there for 4.5 hours, I don't reckon they were 100% clear that he did. I think they're making a stance for the game, which I totally agree with everything, right? And are you allowed to talk like that? But we got to stay consistent now. The worst thing is if someone swears around a referee and those words are used, does he get 3 weeks and miss like a State of Origin, which would all come into calculation?
That's a good point.
So Luai pushes someone, he gets a fine. Someone says words, I don't reckon they can 100% because 4.5 hours say that it was directed at the ref. Looking at it, I reckon with the banter, which was quite funny to read, it was actually really funny to read. I don't think that they're 100% certain that he directed it at the referee, because his reaction straight away, sir, I wasn't talking like that. If you're shitty with someone, you hold that grudge. Like you go, you're still going. But he didn't. He runs straight up to him and he goes, I was talking to him. Unless he's that quick between the ears, which if you've lost your marbles calling someone, you're not that quick between the ears.
There's a couple of great moments of theatre.
Well, I'm not.
A couple of great moments of theatre in the Judiciary last night. Number one was Dave Fafita coming on as essentially a character witness. He was there, obviously, for the Titans. And he even said during the hearing, he said, look, I'm so used to being the bad guy in these, it's very weird to be giving evidence for someone else. But the best part of it, I reckon the legend of Paddy Carrigan grows is probably the most likeable bloke in the game, certainly top 5. because he was recounting what was said, and he's saying F and C, but he's just saying it like that. And the judiciary had to stop him saying, Pat, it's okay. You're allowed to swear, mate. You can recount what happened. It's okay. No problem. So, certainly along here, I know the Broncos missed their flight home because it went so long as well. But Tristan Sally, you would think, comes into them for the next couple of games, and he certainly won't let them down.
But I'd change the rules, right? Because just hear me out on this, like trial by media type of thing, right? We've all seen hip drop and is that Cronulla and, Dale Finucane, like, say 6 or 8 weeks ago, hip drop, I said no. Some people say, yeah, we can't have it in the game. So then if it's on a Thursday night and it's on Thursday night, you got Andrew Johns and that doing it on Channel 9, you got the Fox boys doing it. Then Friday, it's in the commentary, it's on these shows. Yep. Saturday, it's on our scrum. Sunday, it's on the sin bin. You can't help if you're on the judiciary process.
You hear the noise?
To hear the noise.
Yeah.
Right? And people go, no. Well, we're professional. Well, I'll throw this scenario at you. I'm not a real cricketer, but if I'm standing at the MCG on the Boxing Day test and Matthew Hayden and Andrew Simons are batting and they get hit on the pads, 60% chance he's out and 40% chance he's not, and I'm a Queenslander and I'm an Aussie, what do you reckon I'm giving him? Yeah. What do you reckon I'm giving him?
Not out.
So that's just human nature that I'm a Queenslander. I've got two of my favourite cricketers there. I'm at, Australia are playing, the Ashes or whatever against.
Also, Justin Langer was an absolute lunatic. There's no way I'd ever give him out. I would not want the wrath of that.
There you go. So I just think maybe in the future, if something does, and I know it fills our papers, I know it fills our shows, I know that, but we aren't the tribunal. And I think for the players to get a fair case, whether he's innocent or not, I would like that we probably can't talk about it. You know what I mean? Because I actually still believe that it could have been directed as a player. Should he have got a fine for swearing and using it? Absolutely. Should he have got maybe a week? But the mystery, when I don't think they're 100% black and white in concrete that he did direct it at the referee, I think it's a bit harsh, and maybe, with the commentary around it, probably added to it.
Tough few weeks to the Broncos. Jordan Ricky is going to be out for a long period of time.
I don't like that noise. I think they're a totally different side than everybody goes, oh, this is where they collapsed last year. Yep. Well, they didn't have Reece Walsh. They weren't playing this well. They haven't won the games that they did last year. Like, this is a totally different footy side. Maybe the games that they did win last year weren't against the quality of the opposition that they've gone against this year. Yep. I think they've worked really hard for it. So watch this space. It could happen because it can happen to everybody. Like our man Dobbo wrote Parramatta off. They had to go play reserve grade, 8 weeks ago and have a look at their last month or 5 weeks of footy. So things can turn in circles really quick in our game. But I think Brisbane, if they get through this period, say the next month, and they get through Origin, I think they got one more bye or two more byes.
Two more byes left.
They got two more byes left. So it's fair to say if they get healthy around the final series, they'll be there.
All right. Well, on Parramatta, Deja and Arcee has done an unbelievable job slotting into the six and just letting Moses and Gutho do their things. A six experiment that hasn't necessarily worked is Josh Schuster at Manly. He's just re-signed a 3-year deal, $2.4 million. Now, it looks like what's going to happen is Luke Brooks will play six for him next season, and Josh, who played in the back row to start his career at Manly, will go back there. My question would be, Gordy, watching him in the halves, one of the biggest, I suppose, knocks on him is his commitment to defence. Now, that's going to have to go up tenfold for him to move back to an edge, would it not? Well,
I really like him. The things that he does on the field is only what Josh Schuster can do. He's an unbelievable ball player, one of the best ball players. He's got this, I wish he'd look when he passes the ball, but that's cool these days. I don't know what they've watched, but you probably got more chance of hitting your target if you're looking, and the pass beats him anyway. But he's got to find out who he wants to be. So he had a handshake deal that I want to play 5'8".
Yep.
And I watched him play against Newcastle, and his first 20 minutes was outstanding. He kicked to the corner, those box kicks. He had control of it. And then for the next 50 minutes, it was nothing. And then he puts a chip kick in, they get it, and Dom Young scores and puts it out of reach when he started chasing points. But for 50 minutes, when you need the game management, where you always got to be focused, and that comes down to being fit, being one of the fittest guys on the field. So I don't think that these halfbacks aren't the fittest guys on the field and work the hardest.
Yeah.
Just because they're little pretty boys. But Nathan Cleary, they say no one works harder. You look at Daly Cherry Evans. He never not turns up for any assignment. So because they got to make decisions under fatigue, that they got to be fitter than everybody else, so fatigue doesn't come into their decision making. And I think Schuster's got he didn't go to the World Cup to give himself the best chance of making it. So he's got a lot of hard work to do, and it's not on the footy field; it's off it. I think his biggest challenge for him to be the $800,000 player is what he does off the field.
Are you
and
talking
that's with diet. Well, that's with diet.
Physically, yes, but do you think mentally as well?
Yeah, the physical part comes because you've got to be mentally tough. What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
You just got to get up and put your shoes on. And the hardest distance for me now that I'm retired is to the front gate.
Yeah.
But once you get out the front gate and go for a run, well, it's fine. So the hardest thing for him is actually touching a line, pushing and doing extras. And he's not going to get to where he's going to get to without the extras, without discipline off the field, with like what you put in, because he does carry weight. So how can you put on that much weight?
Yeah.
And
I know. I mean, I go to holidays for 5 days. I put on 10 kilos, so I certainly know how you can do it. Yep.
Yeah, right. So it's eating whatever you want, doing that, and
you and I
eating
beef
for fuel. Yeah.
When you're having a great time and stuff in your face.
Yeah. But I'm not paid.
Yeah.
And
well, you are paid pretty well.
And I'm a strong believer that you're not paid to play footy. You're paid to get yourself in tip-top shape to make sure that you give your teammates and you the best chance. So that's the space that Schuster's got to be in. And if he is, we're going to be sitting here, not with egg on our face because we haven't bagged him. We just said what he's got to do to get it right. And if he takes it as a bagging, well, that's good. But he's got to turn his attitude around.
I did see quite a few Manly fans that were not particularly happy about the news of signings this week, which kind of shocked me, and I'd love to get your thoughts, especially...
I watched one of the podcasts where they're all Manly boys and they just got up and walked out.
Oh, the Hello Sports boys, lunatics, absolute lunatics,
when they signed Luke Brooks, they just couldn't talk.
But see, I don't understand that because anyone that's watched, especially Luke's last month of footy, when he's literally been encouraged to do exactly that, run the ball and essentially plays the ball running 7 or be playing as a 6, I genuinely think it's an exciting signing for him.
But they don't.
But why?
Would you have been excited when he was going to Newcastle?
If he was playing 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's his best spot where clear the head noise, doesn't have to control the game. Ches will do that, and he's literally run the ball, mate.
Yep. No, look, mate, Luke Brooks in the last month's been outstanding for the Tigers. So, mate, there's no doubt there's that ability in there. And whether it was just the Tigers, whether, something was happening, a bit of Superman and the kryptonite thing. But it's a fresh start with someone like Daly Cherry Evans and passing the ball to Tommy. I think Tommy's made a lot of people look really good. And then Schuster will probably play on that left edge as well. Yeah. So did he just hitting Schuster early or like running or whatever? It's it's a lethal combination.
Gordy, the New Zealand Warriors, I think maybe similar to the Broncos in a different capacity. Everyone's waiting for them to fall down. They're showing no signs of that. Andrew Webster, their coach, I think deserves every bit of love in the world because how he's managed to get the best out of every single player that's come to that club that was already there before.
And they got a couple of good signings through the off-season as well.
Yeah.
And Nathan Brown was sort of helping with that roster and he bought a couple of hard-nosed guys and you just see the way they're playing. But certainly it all goes to Andrew Webster. Like the style of footy they're playing, I think they're in the top 3, I think, for completion rates.
Yep.
And defensively, I think they're in the top 3 as well. Yep. So that's a massive turnaround for any Warriors side that has played in the history that I've been following. They've always had the physicality. They've always had the skill level, the offload. They've always been front runners. They've always been able to blow sides off the park.
Yep.
But what we call, which is a buzzword, is the long game, is just getting in an arm wrestle, going set for set, set for set, set for set, and earning your points instead of always trying like the trick play sort of Warriors. It's been outstanding. Are they the real deal? I was talking to a couple of boys that do this podcast here on Tuesday. They were in at Fox in Woodsy and they said, and Wade Graham, they said they are the real deal. When you play against them, it is a grinding sort of game, and they do take you to the end. And I said, so it's not a mistake. They said, no, the Warriors are the real deal. So to have players playing against them, there's the case. So when you play against the Warriors, they certainly do believe that they're going to play finals, and they say that they'd be in the best 6 teams that they've played all year. So that's a pretty good armour, isn't it? Really, going into the end of the season.
Now, I mean, maybe a smoky, but Sean Johnson, form of his life. It's been outstanding watching him. Go a step further. Does he win the Dally M medal this year? He'd have to be close.
Well, they'd have to be really strong in the back end of the season.
But they've been strong for 17 rounds.
Yeah, where was he when closing?
He was in the top three. And Payne Haas was the one.
When the points went behind closed doors. So Payne Haas has been a little quieter.
Yep.
Johnson, they've been ticking along. You think if they win, he's going to, do you know what? You could be right.
I know you
could be onto something, Ali.
For once in my life. I know it's a team game, but in terms of individual accolades, if he was to win the Dally M from...
It'd be amazing turnaround. And like a couple of games that we've caught on the M's here, like they put a kick in and I don't want to say it's un-Johnson-like, but he's the kick chase, smashing the guy, trying to put him back in goal. That's never been his part of the game. His part of the game is the flashy play, always trying to come up with the big play.
Yep.
That's the long game. That's just the kick long, kick chase, kick long, kick chase, and the rest will come. I think it's been his best season by far. Yep. Not for the highlights reel, from a team point of view. From Sean Johnson being a team man that you go, oh, wow, that's amazing, but he does it every 6 weeks. Every single play, he's been in there for you.
Well, and he also, to his credit even further, he hasn't had a lot of stability in the halves because Tamade Martin, who was in outstanding form, had that leg break. Volkman came in for a couple of games, and then young Luke Metcalf, who could be anything, he's a gun, he's in there too. And Johnson's stayed consistent throughout it. The other name I wanted to throw at you, Mr. Consistent, one of the most, I think, underrated, underappreciated stars in the game, Tohu Harris. What he brings to that side on and off the field, unbelievable.
Well, I remember it was a game where he was out because he hurt his knee or whatever, and they just came and they just got the job done. He is so professional. He's their bread and butter. He's their glue. And when the Warriors have gone on to be that guy, they've had Ruben Wiki, Stephen Price, a Kevin Campion, a Michael Luck, that guy in the middle that just does all the little things and just holds them all accountable. And he's that guy. That's for sure. And I love Lionel Richie on the wing. Soul glow, mate. I love him.
Going well.
Dylan's
it's the best head of hair in rugby league.
Man.
Yeah, by a long way.
Like all night long.
You mentioned Michael Luck. Of course, he's the head of footy at the Cowboys. Now, there was something not quite clicking, probably pre-Origin. However, the last few weeks, you look at the Cowboys' wins on paper, where they've beaten the Panthers, they've beaten Souths, they demolished the Storm as well. That's in 3 weeks they've managed to do that. Yeah. A phone call I know from Billy Slater to Jeremiah Nene has gotten the best out of him since then. He has been electric. But little things like Drinky, looks like he's got his confidence back.
Yeah, well, sometimes when it comes to Origin, it can take your energy, but those guys were all probably on the fringe of retaining their spot. So I think it's actually given them a bit of a boost. I think it's given them a little bit of a kick up the butt.
Yep.
And there's no doubt what they achieved last year, no one saw coming, right? So, no, not even the great Phil Gould or anybody saw that these guys were all going to go, finish third, play State of Origin, go on tours and come back. So that's a lot to digest for a young guy. They probably all got upgrades.
Yep.
So you tick all those boxes. You might be sitting around on Christmas Day thinking that you've made it. You mightn't be as hungry as what you were the year before. So it's taken a while, and
it's clicked back in.
Yeah, but that comes down because the year before they had that amazing preseason, right?
Yep.
So they've taken a bit longer with the work that they could get, under their belts, and now it's I'm not saying that they meant to do it this way, but the timing could be right for the Cowboys.
Scott Drinkwater, while we're on him, there's a lot of, in particular, Sydney papers that were writing about letting the hammer go. Some people quote it as the worst NRL backroom decision in the competition last year.
Well, it is because of the way he's playing.
Yeah, but can we also say Scott Drinkwater last year, I think, was 3rd or 4th in Dally M voting.
Mate, I get it. But it's just one of those things like, hey, mate, you got to take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
You have to take the good with the bad. The Broncos are still, how did they let Cameron Smith drive past them? How did they let Cooper Cronk drive past them? How come nobody wanted Jonathan Thurston? How come Billy Slater was in Innisfail, drove past the Cowboys to drive past? So you do, everybody gets told on all their misses. And to have Tabuai Fidow there, to be in his system, to watch him at the nines, to do that and not see the potential, you know what I mean? And maybe no one saw it.
But I don't know if it was about not seeing potential. It was Drinky's playing so well. So how do you punt him when they said, Hammer, you can play in the centres, but he had an opportunity to play fullback. Full credit to him. He went down and he made a good fist of it.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. So their decision's right on what they believe and what they saw and what's at the club.
Yeah.
But then you get someone going, okay, well, we just need to hold him here for a little bit longer. Oh, shit, he could have played centres.
But I think they said to him, you can play in the centres, he wants to play fullback.
And then Drinkwater goes up, and because Chad Townsend, and he could probably be a great half with Dearden, and he slots back at fullback.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't know, mate. All the great sides have a tendency of just holding on to players like that. So that's not a Cowboys thing. That's just, and plus, hey, as soon as you got the Redcliffe, right, they didn't see the potential too, right? Because you know what they did? Upgraded him. So you sign your new deal, right? He's like 10 games into it. I think he got an upgrade.
Yeah, I think he's going okay as well. Just to round out on the Cowboys, again, looking at that roster, that was Gordy's attempted to do the hammer shark celebration. Turned himself into a bird. That was terrible.
Hold on.
Yep.
I played in the back row. I had to tackle for a living.
So you can't celebrate. You can't do a shit.
Mate, my shoulders. Okay. No. Mate, my shoulders and elbows. Okay. Look at it. Okay. Look at it. I've been hit by a fin, right, mate? Mate, I've been hit by a propeller or something.
There's some ugly things on your body. That one's right up there.
Yeah, that's not good.
To finish on the Cowboys, again, looking at that roster, blokes like Murray Taulangi, I think, is the best winger in the competition at the moment. You got Val Holmes in the form of his life. That back line is stacked. The forward pack's outstanding. Where can they finish? Can they go into the top 8 and make a run?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do, but I still believe Tamalolo is their leader.
Yeah.
Like I really do. Like, when you're going down the stretch and, all those young kids can play and they can, and we saw Drinkwater, the game's on the line. He gets it. He goes across and scores. All that stuff's fantastic, but you need someone that's going to lead you. And I think Tamalolo is still that guy. So, and all those young guys can do their job and they can get there, but you still need a leader. So, yes, there's no doubt if they get back to the form that they were in last year.
Yep.
Yeah. They're a top 8 side.
All right, plenty of reason to be excited if you are a Cowboys fan. That's it for today's...
Especially if you're on the sideline calling them.
That's good fun too. Episode of Footy Talk. The Journos will be in tomorrow. Gordy, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you.